Hello and welcome to Naija's Geeking podcast. This is a milestone episode, episode 230. And for this episode, we decided to do all the audience a favor and kick out the undesirables from the podcast. So read the regular and check the noisemaker and not around today, just to make sure you have a very nice and smooth, easygoing podcast that you can listen to. Dakpo, how are you doing?
I'm very good. I have no part in that in your introduction. You're on your own. You are your own with that. Yeah, well, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, we have two
Yeah.
people absent. Very much so.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
we always keep the best for the podcast, so we don't need
Yeah.
to heavyweight, as you said.
Yeah, like I mean, come on, you're saying the same thing I said. Let let the audience listen to some nuanced discussion with peace and quiet, with some very with and leave out all the nonsense takes by keks that usually come angry and fighting. So yes, that's what we're doing today. But so today we'll be talking about Daredevil, the latest episode that dropped. I think we have one more to go before it's out. And then
Yes.
there was a yeah, and there was a very explosive interview that went viral last week for the Fantastic Forecast. And some rumors were hearing about it. Would also be touching on that a bit. And then Dapo apparently finished the assignment that was Iyanu. Iyanu dropped last week
Yes.
and with the first three episodes that was be able to watch everything. So he would also be
Yeah.
giving his take on that particular. So, so to kick things off with the interview, let's start with the interview for Fantastic Four. That's a news item.
Hmm.
So Fantastic Four, they had this is it either it's EW or Variety magazine
I thought it was
where
variety. I'll double check that. But I think it
yeah,
was a variety article.
interview. Yeah. Where they interviewed the entire cast, they showed some new pictures and they confirmed a couple of rumors here and there about the interview, but two main pieces of news went viral from that interview. Whereas everybody's forgetting about the everything else Pedro Pascal said or everything else Ebon Moss said about the role. Nobody really cares right now because it wasn't viral enough or it wasn't controversial enough. The two main pieces of news that went viral were from Sue and from Joseph Quinn.
Yep.
So first off, Vanessa Kirby confirms that she's pregnant in this particular show. In the movie. And then
Yep.
she goes on to talk about feminism and superheroes that deal with pregnancy and having a kid in a superhero world and how messy that can be and how a woman is expected to deal with everything. So that she's supposed to be this big superhero, she's supposed to be a mother, she's supposed to be an integral member of the team, a family, and it's like, yeah. So she talked about how that is going to play a big part into the role that we're going to be seeing. And then she also mentions Malice, which is a lesser known character from if you like call it an alter ego
Well,
or
kind of.
personality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So she talk about how she's going there's a bit of well tonally, she's going to be channeling a bit of Malice as well. I hopefully that's not any spoilers going forward, but yeah. Is that what's your take on this?
Well, to start off with, I've not listened to the interview. All I've seen is the viral clips of certain words they've made about the character. So I read about Vanessa Kirby's thoughts on Sue Richards and her role in the Fantastic Four in the '60s, and and her take on it. I saw the comments from I always forget his name. What's his name again? The Human Torch actor.
Joseph Quinn.
Yeah, just a quid about Johnny Storm as well. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, and I've seen a lot of people's reactions. So that's why I find it because I saw a lot of people reacting to it and people kicking off. Some people, and we live in an era. And don't get me wrong, I could say I've possibly been guilty of this myself. We live in an era where certain phrases are now a trigger. They're going. Oh, it's all going to be woke. Oh, it's all going to be unwoke. Either you can take it both ways, and people react. When people start talking, and it's we live in this era of clickbait, we live in this era of overreacting to everything. These very same things that these two people mentioned, if they were said, I don't know, 20 years ago, most people don't even blink at it. But now we overreact. So this time around, so let's start off with Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah.
So she's basically saying, she was talking about the Invisible Woman back in the 60s. Basically didn't have, well, I won't say didn't have much to do with it, but basically was seen, well, actually not seen, not heard, not seen, the typical, what you call a typical role for a woman back then. In the background, the male counterparts took, the spotlight, and she was there doing the house cleaning, etc., etc. And she makes a point that she's not going to go for that, they're not going for that kind of woman. They're going for a strong woman, a woman who, whose presence in the film adds equally as much as any of the males, if not more. And to be honest, and I'm paraphrasing what I've read from other people, but when I read her quote, in her case, I actually see nothing wrong with what she said at all. And I read the 60s comics, and she's very, very true. And what's ironic is most of the people complaining about these comments that she's making that is woke. It's funny because I can guarantee you none of them read those 60 comics.
Yep.
And the comics they did read, which was, let's say they read it from the 80s onwards, but when those comics in the 80s actually addressed that issue.
So it's less about the comics and more about like the phrases being used, like you mentioned earlier, where it's easier to get triggered by certain phrases that are being used in describing certain situations in movies, because it signals an agenda that departs from the from the core of what the story is about.
But we're talking about Sue Storm.
Yes.
So after I read what Vanessa Kirby said, there's no agenda there. It's very straightforward. She just said women's roles in the 60s, 70s are different from what it is now. They're going to explore that. I don't even think it's good.
That's the problem there. That's the problem.
How?
Especially when they say, when a creator or an actor says that, this is the way it was done before in the beloved material that you use, we are not going to do that. We are going to do our own thing that is better than that. It's usually something that signifies a disconnect in the.
No, but they're saying they're going to do what it was like before.
Right.
I just found
a quote. I found a quote.
And the movie is actually a timepiece. It's going to be set in that time. So I personally, I saw the headline because I caught up on the WhatsApp group on spoilers late. I saw the headline. I was like, okay. And I saw somebody on the Comics Meltdown already say, I'm not watching this.
But
then I saw a quote it's not. It's not.
Yeah. No, so Vanessa Kirby's comments, it's actually correct. It's actually accurate because it's actually true to anybody that has read the comics and you pick up any Fantastic Four comic, you know that Sue Storm is not a background character.
Yes.
It's actually a very central character that is actually very present in the books. So what Vanessa is saying is very it's not news.
It's absolutely it's absolutely accurate. And so I've just found those quotes and in the 80s and even to now, I don't think it's changed. She is the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four. When you look at the power sets, she can literally bend light around her. She can create force fields. She is the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four. And in the 80s, 90s, she's an assertive. She's not a wallflower. Despite her past being a disability, she's not a wallflower by any means. And I like everything she said is right. Matt and I were really aware that there hasn't really been a mother with a baby in these superhero archetypes woman in the movies. There hasn't been. I don't think there's been any pregnant.
It's like WandaVision.
In the movies.
Not in the movies, but
yeah. You know. Well, and she didn't really have a proper pregnancy anyway.
She took care of kids that just grew up overnight.
The one thing I'm a bit worried about, and this is not because what she said is inaccurate. I'd never liked Malice. I hated the whole Malice character. And it's because I thought it was too much overdone in comics. Suddenly, a goody character now has this. Something happens to her, and this dark side comes out. You know, we've had it with Dark Phoenix, we had the Dark Storm, and then she had Malice. So by the time that arc came around, I never really liked it. And then she was wearing what could only I call bondage gear at one point. So I never really liked the whole idea of Malice. But I like the fact that she's talking about not being Malice herself, but a slight darkness, you know, which I can say, okay, if you play it that way, I'm fine with that. You know,
so, I'm worried about why they're reshooting. What's up with the whole movie?
We'll get to that.
Reshooting doesn't bother me anymore. It's so common.
I know it's reshooting this close to the movie release date.
Mate, the whole movie was shot in like 2 months. Any shooting
will be in like 2 weeks.
The film that they started filming like 2 months ago.
The film did not exist. Then we heard a rumor. Then we saw casting, and boom, trailer.
Okay. If you put it like when you put it like that, it's not worse than anything we've had.
Yeah, the timeline of this film is so compressed. I mean, in my view, that I'm not surprised that reshoots are so close to the so-called release date. So in terms of Kirby, there's nothing in what she said here that really bothers me.
That bothers you. Yeah, so
it's the headline that's triggering people. They didn't read it.
So just take a quick poll around. We're all fine with the comments by Vanessa.
For Vanessa, I'm fine. Yes.
As far as I can read, I'm okay with it. I don't.
You're okay with it. Okay.
What about you today? Your thoughts?
I'm 100%. I'm fine with it. After reading it, I was like, okay, I guess why people will be annoyed. But there are people that didn't read the comics. If anybody has read the comics, they wouldn't be annoyed at this. It's people that didn't read the comics and they saw flashes of people trying to make a character what they are not. And that ego of people saying, oh, we can do better than what the people originally love.
Even if you didn't read the comics, contextually, it's still okay. I mean, let's just say we're going to explore something. I mean,
if it's not in the comics and someone comes up and say, oh, this character in the comics was this way.
Well, given the time
it's not good. Yeah, and it's not good, and we are going to make it better to fit the time to it. I have no problem with that as a concept. But when it becomes the cornerstone of your campaign, it now becomes like I'm not sure this person actually gets.
Is it the cornerstone?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not using this movie as an example. I'm not saying that why this would bother some people. I'm looking at other adaptations that have been made where they go, oh, this is how it's done in the comics or in the books. We're not doing it that way because we think we can do something better with the character and push a different agenda. And it's like, what usually comes out is usually worse than the original product. But like I said, this is not the same case with Vanessa Kirby. So going on to Joseph Quinn's comments.
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to pull out the quote for that exactly.
I've got here.
Okay, please go ahead. Yeah.
Right. So let me just read it out. So he's talking about Johnny Storm. This is Joseph Quinn talking about Johnny Storm. He's a man that leads with a lot of bravado, which can be an affront sometimes, but he's also funny. Myself and Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige were speaking about previous iterations of him and where we are culturally. I guess where we are now culturally is what he's talking about. He was branded as this womanizing, devil-may-care guy, but is that sexy these days? I don't think so. Then he goes on to say, This version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior. And then lastly, Shankman adds, Johnny is really smart. He's on that spaceship for a reason. And I think sometimes people forget that in various comic stories, he's been one of the most heroic of them, even if he's undercutting his heroism at every turn through humor. He's Sue's brother, which means they are cut from similar cloth. So, in terms of Vanessa's comments, I'm like 0.05% worried about those comments. His comments, I'll probably say I'm 10% worried. I'm not that worried either, but I say there's a bit of an element, and I'm worried that where they might go with this. So, the one bit on this statement that I don't like is the whole "it's no longer sexy." The comment about womanizing and devil may care attitude, or no, for some type of people, maybe not, but I still think that, I mean, Tony Stark is the epitome of that. That is what Tony Stark is, and you can't say. But the other comments he makes, I think, are kind of spot on. And when it comes to Johnny about being less callous, to be honest, Johnny in the comics, when he lost to a fault. I think his biggest problem was sometimes he falls in love too easily. But when he does,
too much.
Yeah, but when he does, he's not a cheat.
No, he has been in multiple messy relationships. So he has had several.
Yeah, but he doesn't cheat when he's in there. No. So I'm trusting. When he's playing with people, he plays with people. Like when he's playboy mode, he's playboy mode. But when he was with Crystal, nope. When he was with Nova, nope. His fault is, and I know people like that, he lost too quickly. Fast.
Yeah.
So go on.
No, continue, please.
The smart bit that Shankman adds, to me, that's bullshit. Everybody knows Johnny Storm's smart. If anybody's read a comic, knows he's literally the engineer. Well, so don't let me do what engineer, the mechanic / engineer of Fantastic Four. He's the one who designs the cars. He's a race driver car. He designs all this. He is an engineering. Well, I don't want to say genius because then we've got Fantastic. We've got Reed Richards, but he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, he earned his spot on the team.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, this is something that is not down. It's not played up in comics. People just really assume that the only reason he's there is because he's Sue's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't focus on how he's actually talented in his own right. So for that part, I'm 100%. I don't mind.
Yeah.
But for the other part, I'm like, don't you guys get the meaning of character flaws anymore? Like, this is part of what makes Johnny Johnny.
Yes.
This is part of the things he grows and learns in the comics. So you just taking away that bit of his character, like, you don't get it. It's as if you like. Is it not okay for people to have flaws that are not deemed acceptable nowadays in comic books?
And
I mean, in society, I'm like, what is going on?
It's funny. Okay, I don't like to talk about Star Trek, but it kind of reminds me of what Star Trek tried to do at one point. So Gene Roddenberry, he had this idea that everybody by the time we get to Stark era, humankind had evolved in the way they behaved, that they were all perfect people. One, that made for terrible stories. Because so in the end, he had to quickly, not he did, but the writers realized there has to be some conflict. People have to have flaws. It should be more about the acceptance of people's flaus rather than you having zero flaws.
Yeah,
and I agree with you today. I don't like to use the word flaw, but people's makeup is different, and people have got different. You might see something as a flaw. Somebody might see as a character strength. You might see as a weakness. But we're all that way, and nobody's perfect. A perfect person is I never had an issue with this womanizing when it womanized, and I never had it. So I don't know where you would go with it. Yeah, go on.
No, so like It reminds me more of like Tony Stark in even the MCU Tony Stark.
Yes,
We
exactly.
saw
Yes.
we saw his humanizing ways.
Was still flirty, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw his humanizing ways. We saw him at rock bottom.
Yes.
And it wasn't as if the movie went on to approve it like that and say it was like, yeah, this is who he is.
Yeah.
He's human. It's what makes him relatable. And this is what has always made Marvel stand out from DC.
Yeah.
That, hey, our characters are just like you. Our characters behave just like you. These are not perfect people that are perfectly self-aware and are always all the time. These are regular, normal people. And he has always been the product of that particular age group. The younger kid with the
hot rod.
exactly with the fine boy aesthetics and all of
Yeah.
that and all the baggage that comes with that.
Yeah.
So when you take out that piece of, oh, this is now this perfect self-aware good boy, I'm like,
Yeah.
please just get out from here with that kind of mentality. That's not the journey I want to read about.
In a funny way, and I don't want to say this because if I say this, then we're going to go out to the storm. But even the powers, his power reflects his character.
Yeah,
He's a hothead, the flame on everything, with everything that comes with that, the hot stuff. He's a hot stuff kid.
yeah,
It's all like almost like a metaphor for his powers and his characters and everything. And if you start making him more demure, what is he now? Is he no longer a human torch? Was he a human, slightly on flyer type person?
So I have a different reason for concern.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like his comments. They reek of what we will call shalaye. And I am thinking, why the shalaye? Has it been screened, and have you gotten feedback on that aspect?
So my feeling is they have to talk about these films. And it's all interview trick. You put the
but Vanessa Kirby talks about it. She just gave a few lines. His was a bit extensive. It was already, it's like preparing you.
This is something. Is like my mentality is that this is something they are proud of because this is their let me put like either they are virtue signaling or they're like, this is what will get people to come and see this character. Like, if we present this guy as this guy that we are removing the problematic aspects, it will attract the crowd that will say that might have issues with this.
Who are they listening to?
They are the same bubble they're living in Hollywood.
Today, I hear you. This is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
They live in this bubble where they're virtue signaling each other. And they don't realize that's why we don't act or talk or even believe that way. But they're so encompassed in their own. They think what they're saying is something that everybody will go, oh wow, what revelation! Oh, this is great. No,
they believe their comments. Like I'm sure they believe the comments that Johnny's making is the same kind of comments that Sue was making, like Vanessa was making, and Joseph. They believe they are on the same level of we have this deep revelation about this character that we're going to present, and it's going to make sense. So yeah.
Well, he talked a bit much. I mean, he said it quite a fair bit.
I'm really scared. Sometimes, and this reminds me of not Captain Marvel, Brie Larson's comments when she was and she began to talk too much, started upsetting quite a lot of people back then. The same this Disney lady, I can't remember her name. Snow White. What's the Snow White?
Ziegler.
Yeah, sometimes
Ziegler,
yeah. It's like, stop talking.
In my cynical, I also say that they want this viral, controversial reaction.
How did they work out for Snow White?
If it's going to put people, if you're going to trigger people,
if you're going to put people, it can either trigger you to go and watch the movie or trigger a backlash. They are betting on this to trigger people to watch the movie because it's going to go viral.
But sorry, don't let me be very abusive here. There's certain comments you can make that you almost guarantee you it's going to have negative impact on your movie. Anybody with common sense You know, now, and in her case, these people knew that because they tried to silence. The student, everybody were telling her no. They even sent a delegation to tell her stop talking, but she was on her own. I guess
They
what
sent
do you call
somebody
it?
to fly. They sent
Crusade.
someone to fly down to New York
Yes,
to talk. Yeah,
so a crusade. Yeah, so yeah, she's on a whole crusade. And initially, someone was telling me, "Oh yeah, but she's got to say what she wants to say." And I was thinking, and then somebody said, "But you got paid to do a job, and you always not now that you got your money, you're not happy charging that job." So I don't know.
It's
Anyway,
like
let's go back to that.
yeah.
Back to Fantastic Four. Let's forget.
Yeah, like ordinarily, if I watch the movie, and here's where it's interesting. If he didn't make these comments, and I watch the movie, and I see a soft boy Johnny, I probably would not be as bothered as hearing these comments.
Now you're
Because
looking for it. Now you're
yeah,
looking for it.
no, because like yeah, because if you portray a soft boy Johnny that is not womanizing up and down, it might be because the focus of the movie is on something completely different. They're facing a world threat that there's
Yeah.
no point showing. I mean, the last Fantastic Four movie with the one that is planned as shit with Michael Jordan, I don't think we
oh,
saw a Johnny that was like after womanizing because there was really no time
No,
for
it
that.
wasn't. Very good point.
that was just a bad movie. None of
It
the
wasn't.
characters.
It
None of
wasn't
the characters
womanizing, but he was
were
clearly
explored.
a. I don't know what phrase it was. It was like a typical Johnny type person, but
Yeah,
we did not get to see his womanizing.
yeah.
But
So
the
if
personality type fits.
No, the person, like if they did something like that here,
Yeah.
and we're not focusing on that particular aspect of the story, blah blah blah, and they didn't see anything about that was what they just did. It won't bother
So,
me as much
what are the
than
odds that we get
that's.
an emo Johnny
I hopefully not.
or a soy boy Johnny?
Fair boy, maybe. Imo
Okay.
no, Imo no, Imo.
Okay.
I
So
hope
you
not.
think emo a bit too much? Okay.
Imo boy might be too much, but soy boy, I don't
Are
think.
you, are
And
you,
it's not out of the.
okay? We see the trailer, right?
Yeah,
In that trailer, we didn't see much of Reed beyond a few scenes.
yeah,
Nothing to alarm me. The thing, character wise, and what he did there seemed okay. I didn't like the voice. I had an issue with the voice itself because I was expecting to be more. I don't know what's the phrase, gravelly.
Grumpy.
Yeah. But fine. And even Vanessa Kirby, before I saw, I didn't see much. But to be funny, it's Johnny Storm in there. The expressions in there, I was even slightly. At no point he had this expression that seemed a bit. I don't want to say this because look at that. He did not have the, especially that scene, and it might just be that in that moment. You know that scene where he went. I think he went too far up into space,
yeah,
and his film went off. He had this expression, and
yeah.
he was like that. Even though that's one of my favorite shots, yes, but his expression seemed. But then we did see him actually. Didn't we see him throw five balls at Ben Grimm?
Yeah.
So that bit is still there. The playfulness and
No, so he's still going to be playful. What they just said, oh, he's not going to be Carlos. He's going to have a self-awareness. And I'm like, you guys making this comment is more problematic than you guys doing this. Because if
That's
this
what I
is
think.
what you
Yeah.
are, if you are
so
thinking, if you are thinking what you are saying is newsworthy to be a major aspect of the movie to be reporting,
so
I
for
think,
our
yeah,
listeners out there, basically Tunde advocating for people to be callous with ladies' feelings, right? That's what you're saying.
no, you are missing my point. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that you guys making these comments that Johnny is going to be a quote unquote good kid that is very self-aware is worse than you guys actually making him a good kid that is self-aware in the movies. You know, just went ahead and made him like that in the movies.
No.
No, but
No, I,
most people won't bother. It's because you are making a big deal out of it. It shows one that either you are misaligned in your interpretation of what makes Johnny Johnny, and you feel this is important enough to share, which is isn't. And it's like that's a red flag. To me. But yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. It's at least it's started a debate. I just don't know if it's a good debate.
It's not.
But
It is not a good debate.
yeah. But to be honest, almost anything they say nowadays. So we sometimes I kind of sympathize that the less said, especially when you start trying to talk about how we're changing it. The moment you start saying I want to change something, you got to be very careful how you do it.
Red flag. Red flag.
Yes, you might be changing it for the better, and
Yeah.
a lot of films do change things, and a lot of times it is for the better, and nobody will complain. But when it's a lot of people get triggered by the fact that you think you can do better. Don't say it. Don't tell. Show. Let the film come out and let people enjoy it. For that was good.
Yeah.
We've had different Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a good example. We've had 3 different types
They've
of
all
Spider-Man.
been different.
Yes.
They've all been different. Like, once Andrew Garfield didn't come and say, I'm going to make Spider-Man cool. I think the last Spider-Man has been very boring.
Exactly.
I've been very boring, sad boys. Let's make Spider-Man a cool action guy that skateboard. If he had said that thing in the build-up to the movie, people would have hated him for saying things like that. So yeah, that's the problem with when you come out and you talk so much. And what's this guy's name? Is Dio De Mayo, the X-Men 97 guy that was fired. He made a comment where he said, he made a comment where he said, on this Johnny thing, where he said, this is the same thing they did with Nemo. And he went on a long rant about how Marvel is softening these things with people that don't get it in a studio that is not by real.
That guy's the new Ray.
So he's attacking these guys?
Yeah.
He's attacking everything Marvel.
And what was the issue with Nemo?
He said this under the comment of Joseph Quinn that we are going to be nice and all of that. He says they put the same softening shit with Nemo too. And then he goes on a rant about this is an entirely male exec run this thing that hides their flaws under this thing and tries to project this thing, and it's not coming from a place of genuineness or anything like that. They have no female execs. They cover up HR incidents. All those kinds of
Well, I don't want to get to that guy because that guy himself, some of his comments,
they're very like
I don't
Red
really
said.
know. Yeah,
they're very fishy.
He's dealing with his own issues. So
yeah, I guess. Okay, so these comments now, has that put anybody off?
Was anyone on before?
I'm still on. I'm always the optimist on these things. I'm still hoping that this turns out to be good.
Yeah, hoping it turns out to be good.
Yeah.
Do you think it turned out to be good?
I don't know. I never prejudge anything, if I'm being honest. And I'm not seeing anything to put me off. Wise. I mean, the trailer was almost like you can't decide anything based on that trailer. So I'm having hope, which is why I don't like to watch it too much. This is why I stop my trailers early. Before I start seeing something in the trailer, that might put me off. Just as an aside, I watched the Thunderbolts last spot, and I'm actually happy with it.
Okay, that's good. I'm happy you like it. Yeah. So, like for these movies, I'd rather go in with very low expectations. But I'm going in with like, you can't be better than Captain America, Brave New World. Fantastic Four, I'm looking at it at that level. So I'm hoping they surpass that level so I can actually enjoy it. That's how I'm approaching these movies.
If it does not surpass Brave New World, okay, don't say anything anymore. Because I think they just pause for like 10 years. So
now we still have to about. But yeah, that's it for this thing. And also, James Gunn just dropped a picture online.
Of what?
Okay, in the foreground is Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
And in the background, sitting down in the chair in one corner is the classic Lex Luthor suit.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to look at it. I think that's enough. He needs to calm down.
Yeah, this is something I would rather not have seen.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna look at it. Don't share it.
I'm not sharing it with you guys. I'm not letting you know that in the background, it's there. So whether we see it or not, it's going to be there. But yeah. Anyway, moving on from that, let's talk. Should we do Daredevil or Iyanu next?
Let's do Iyanu first, please.
Wait,
Uh,
Iyanu, is this the next second season or the same old one?
What do you mean, say old one?
Wait, Iyanu, which one is
that's
Iyanu?
that's
That's
the
Iwaju.
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 Iwaju
Okay.
is
Oh. So I've not seen
yeah.
Iyanu. I've not seen Iyanu.
Look at this racist. They all sound the same to you. Yabi,
And I'm Yoruba, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
You're talking about Iwaju.
Iwaju,
Okay.
yeah. Iwaju was a Disney production set in
Yep.
futuristic Lagos.
Lagos,
Yeah.
correct.
Iyanu is an HBO production set in an ancient Yoruba land,
Yes.
in a mythical Yoruba land. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay,
So
that can talk about
so
it.
the settings of these two stories are set apart by like
Ah,
2,000, 3,000 years. Well,
yeah.
yeah,
Settings, genre, everything that are completely different. Even though
yeah.
they have plucky female
I
leads.
think I'll step
True,
away
very
because
true.
there will be so many spoilers for me. Iyanu, Daredevil.
Well, so Red, have you seen? So are you saying you've not seen it? Okay.
I've not seen anything. I just got back. I just came back.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you. What about you
Yeah.
today? Have you seen Iyanu yet?
I've seen the first episode of Iyanu.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've watched 3. I think that's the 3 that's out actually. Yeah.
The fourth one is out, should be out this week already.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, first of all, I was pleasantly surprised to see what's it called? One of the writers that partnered with Roy Okukwi on this.
Well, Brandon Easton.
Yeah. I didn't
What?
realize Brandon Easton was on the project at all.
Why are
Brandon
you
Easton
pleased?
is,
Why are you pleased by
well,
that,
okay,
please?
well, not pleasantly surprised, but like surprised because he's a known name in the comic book world. He's like he
Yeah.
has written a lot of different comics for he has written for Marvel, he has
Netflix.
written for DC. Yeah. He has written for TVs and for other TV shows and movies as well across MCU. He has also worked on like I think they were trying to start a new black focused comic run that I'm not sure went really far. But yeah, he has also
Okay.
written for IDW and all of this. So he's an established name in the comic book. So him adding his touch to the what's it called to the script of the show. I was like, okay, that's an interesting addition to it.
Okay.
But yeah, because it was like, oh, then I saw the name. I was like, oh, okay, I recognize this particular name from somewhere.
Okay.
Then yeah,
Okay.
then for the first episode, it does this thing where they introduce the setting and
Yes.
they tell the history of the world in the old background setting, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the world that has been overrun by monsters. This is the last living. It reminded me very much of the opening for a less epic opening for Attack on Titans.
Right. Okay. That's
Yeah,
interesting. That's very interesting because I'll come back to the point that I have, but go on. Yeah.
yeah. Like this is the last human settlement. Their outer walls, their inner walls. There's a very classist system placed in where the richer ones are inside, the outer ones are outside, and then Iyano and her mother on the very outskirts of the walls. Iyano is the avatar, well, sorry, the chosen one
Oh.
of this world who unites the, how do they describe their powers? Natural, unnatural,
The natural, the unnatural, and the supernatural.
supernatural.
Yes.
Yeah, that process is not very clear of what differentiates all of these three, but okay. Three different powers combined together to make
Yeah.
her the chosen one. She can apparently hear when she's in a certain situation, she can actually hear from the what's it called?
Oh yes. Oh God.
The evil one. The
Yes.
evil one. Let's go with the evil one. But yeah. But one thing I was actually impressed about is the quality of the animation. It's not up there with the best animated shows I've seen. I think it's still below Iwaju.
Oh, I thought you said it was up there with the best.
No,
Oh, so
it's not up
it's
there.
sorry. Okay. I'm
It's
be
not
like,
up there with the best anime, but for a production that I think it's, if I'm not wrong, What the production company is mainly Nigerian.
Right.
I'm not
Okay.
100% sure of this.
Lion Forge. So I'm looking at the Lion Forge Animation. Seems to be the
Yeah.
company, which seems to be an American one.
It's a Black American.
Okay.
Lion Forge is not a what's this thing called? It's not one of the bigger named houses
I was like, yeah,
for
yeah, okay.
animations.
No, I'm with
Yeah,
you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with
yeah.
you.
It's like it's a very. I believe it's a very small. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a very small. This thing they do comics, and this is
Okay.
one of their bigger projects. Because honestly, going into this, I knew fully well it was going to be an Iwaju that it was being done by Disney. It wasn't being financed by a
Right. Okay.
Disney.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not like the media house for that was massive, but yeah. So
Right.
the
Okay.
quality for that kind of company, at least the art style.
Yeah. 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 To be honest, for me, it didn't divert in my memory of the actual comic. So
Yeah,
I didn't watch it and think, oh, this is a big diversion from what. No, it seemed to remind me very clearly of what I remember from the comics when I really comics. So yeah,
yeah,
so I was okay with that.
yeah. So
I
that
yeah, go on. So go on. Go on.
no, continue, please.
No, I said okay. So you mentioned something about Attack on Titan. So one of my first thoughts when I was watching this was, yes, this is a very Yoruba focused animation. So basically on the history of Yoruba, even the setting, obviously, is Yoruba land, and there's a lot of Yorubaisms in the way they speak and certain things they say, right? But I kept on getting flashes in my mind of the only thing that I could say is animazing. And now I've not watched. So okay, don't let me lie. I've seen Avatar on the TV in the background. I've never sat down to watch the Avatar the animated series. I don't think I've ever watched a full episode of it ever. I did watch the first few episodes of the live action on Netflix, and I don't think I got past episode 3 or 4. So, but I don't have people saying I've heard a few comments comparing this to Avatar. So I can't speak to that. But there's certain things, some of the expressions or the faces kind of remind me of a bit anime-ish. And then I guess I don't know why, and I can't even I can't even think to myself why I think this. Also, there's one of the powers she activates that kind of gives me an anime feel when the I don't know what is there a term for it? The decorations they have on the face and they
Yeah,
kind of light up with a white
yeah.
bright light. So
That's Avatar. Yeah,
oh, is that where that's oh, do they do that in Avatar?
yeah. The head
Oh,
lights up.
the
Yeah,
arrow on it. Okay, yeah, I do remember that now. Okay. So I had that feeling. And I want to ask you a question because you've seen it and I've seen it. I want to put this in the most. Cultures have a way they emote. Let me use different cultures have a way they emote. The way Yoruba people emote with their face, I don't think it's this way, and I might be wrong, but I think we've. I was watching this. I tried to put this in words. I think Yoruba people generally are very sarcastic people,
yeah,
and we also we're also very expressive, but not expressive in the way this in my view this was animated. Now, if you tell me to animate what I'm thinking of, I can't. I really can't because
yeah.
I'm not that talented. I don't have that skill set. But
I
I think
think
so
Iwaju animated it in a way that yeah,
maybe
that would be
because yeah, you're right. With Raju, I never felt that way.
yeah. So
Okay.
this is intentionally embracing not just in the animation. There are several elements that are intentionally embracing the anime kind of
Okay.
storytelling,
Okay.
exaggerated emotions, and all of
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
It's like because it's also aimed for kids, it also needs to be a lot more expressive than
Yeah.
what we are used to in terms of this thing. So it's because it's a kids show and kids are generally more expressive. And
Yeah.
then it also has a lot of like anime centric powers, anime centric backgrounds in terms of storytelling. It also feels more like that. So I think that's where the
Okay.
disconnect is coming from. Yeah.
And to be honest, I think I have to accede to the point you made that it is aimed at a young or a very young
Yeah.
audience, and I think it was halfway through when I realized, okay, sorry, this is meant for a young audience, and hence certain things have certain elements in the storytelling, are
Yeah.
geared to make it easier for them to digest, for them to understand. Especially if you're introducing a whole new culture to a audience that the majority of the audience would be people not that familiar with that culture. So
Yes.
you probably would have to simplify it, and
Yeah.
so I can see why.
And you have to make a lot of like cultural touchstones, like oh, things they can recognize easily from other things they've watched.
Hmm,
Shortcuts. Like, for example, the soldiers were Roman guards. The
yeah,
wars
yeah,
were not the
yeah,
Yoruba styled war. It was like
yeah,
this epic attack on Titan kind of war.
mm,
The even the conversations in the hall, it has to be made clear
yeah,
who is good, who is bad. Like all of these things that normally for us,
yeah,
we're saying, why are you wasting time on this? This is poor
yeah, yeah, yeah,
storytelling.
yeah, yeah,
But they
yeah.
have to take their time, establish all of these things, and like properly set up the characters and everything. So yeah, in that aspect, it makes it a lot slower.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
But yes, it slows down the pacing a lot because like the old setting where Iyanu runs into the kids and you're bullying
mm,
another kid who you know is going to become a partner to Iyanu, and you see
mm,
the father there trying to like all of these are lessons we've seen done 1,001 times. But because of the nature of this show, and it's like and the audience is being aimed at, it's
yeah,
like, yeah, they're taking their time with this thing. It's and I will respect them for this because they're not trying to do too much. Because already what they are working with is already incredibly difficult. This is a fantastic setting in Yoruba land with
yes,
magic and all of these elements. Like they
yeah,
have a lot to do on that aspect. So they're not trying to make it. I'm not sure. Maybe later on they would step it up. But they're not trying to make a kids show for adults to watch as well. This is a kids show for
yeah, yeah,
kids.
yeah. So that is my biggest takeaway after watching the 3 issues that episode. That okay, so this is clearly geared towards the younger audience. Um, it's something that and sorry if I want to take a step backwards. So and then they called her so Iyanu is obviously is your typical the chosen one who's going to come
Yeah,
and save the world. So in this setting, the real world has the animals in this world have been corrupted
yeah.
by an evil force, and we have this. Is it Ilu? Was it called Ilu or Ilu?
Elu.
Yeah, yeah. So Ilu is like is this walled town where everybody's walled in, but Iyanu and her mom are exiled from it, and they live in the forest, and they're one of the Ogbonis. And I don't know why I'm saying that in that language. What would that translate to in English?
The council, the royal council.
No, no. What? Sorry, Iwaju's mom. Iwaju.
Oh,
Iyanu's mom.
Yanu's mom.
Yeah,
What would they translate it to in I don't
like
know, in Yoruba?
a Gandalf type. No, not a Gandalf type. Like a. It's not a Gandalf. Is it a Gandalf type? Is it like a sorcerer? No, not sorcerer. It's a green witch.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go with the Greenwich type.
Yeah, a green witch type. Yeah, yeah. And basically, this is a story of Iyanu. She's quite young, and I'm guessing what is she? She's not even a teenager. She's probably 11 or
No,
12.
she's pretty, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously she has no friends of her own age because she's living in the forest by herself, and so obviously she's fascinated by people living in this world city. But they seem to a lot of them treat her badly because she's like,
Yeah.
oh, you live in the forest, you're not civilized, and the one guy that should treat her nicely, which is weird enough, is named after my son. Got the same name as my son, Toyi.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he likes her, and he doesn't really want to abuse her, but peer pressure makes him, do do bad things as well to her. And basically, we get this story of where I'm now blanking on why they started. Why did they go after her mom? What did she do? I can't remember what she did.
Her mom is the last Olori. She's like a witch
Yeah,
in the what's this thing called? And they saw because they know her mom is taking care of Iyanu, and they saw Iyanu save the boy from a tiger with her
that's the
powers.
one. Yeah. So
Yeah, and so they were
yes.
like, "Oh, go and get her!" Like, yeah. So that's what happened in episode one. And it ends with them attacking the mom, and the mom, like, we see a bit of they try to develop a bit of the relationship the mom has with the father of Toye, who
So
is the
yeah.
warrior, like the head
Yeah.
warrior of the village. The Kakanfo, they call him Kanfo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of the village and all of that. So that's how they set up. Like we have the girl about to go on a hero's journey, being sent by her mom on a hero's journey. We see who are accomplishing. One of who what's this thing called? Our party members will be
Yeah.
in Toye. We see the parents and the various expectations they place on their kids. With the bully, the
Yeah.
father of the warrior, the mother, we see the king and the council, and all of these elements have been established already. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that is how we end the first episode of Iyanu. But before we go further, that well,
Yeah.
just overall, are you impressed by the show?
Impressed. Is that what you
Or
said?
let me put it this way, how would you rate the show?
I'm struggling. I won't lie. I'm struggling because this is like you telling me to rate. I'm trying to think what I went in this. I'll be honest with you. I went in this thinking this was aimed at me.
Ah,
And halfway through, I realized it's not. So I don't know. It's. I mean, I watched all three. It was an easy watch. But it's not something that really, I would say,
grabs you.
engaged my brain.
Okay.
And when I went to when I was going to start watching it, part of me was saying I'm going to get my son to watch it as well. Now there's no way on earth I'm going to get my son to watch that because my son is 18. And
It's not going to
he's
work for him,
into he's into like all these 18-year-old. This is not geared towards him either.
either, yeah.
Yeah. So let's say when my kids were 8, 9, 10, yes, 100%. I would put them in front. I would put this in front of them. More so for the fact that it's based on their
It's your,
culture, and
yeah.
you'll see kids that look like you. You got a kid that's named after you, but to rate it, I'm really struggling, if I'm being honest. Because I'm saying to myself that I don't rate it as an adult, but I am an adult. And I'm I'm struggling to.
Yeah.
So
I think you
go on.
before
Yeah.
because I'm also struggling with the rating of this particular show. And I'll get to check how much you are having that as well. Because it's like there have been several shows in the past, animated series, TV shows, that start this way as well. And as the story goes, they start focusing on
Give
more
me an
complex
example.
themes.
Give me an example.
Even Avatar started a bit
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
childish.
So I
Okay,
did
you've
see.
not watched that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's possible for a show to start childish
Yeah.
and
I
then
agree to go.
yeah.
Can I mention one show? And it's a very bad example of maybe what you're trying to say. But so bear with me. Breaking Bad. The way,
Hmm.
and I'm not saying Breaking Bad started as a child. No. But what I'm saying
No, it
is
started
where it started
yeah.
from and where it ended.
The
In my
evolution.
mouth, yeah, there was a big evolution. It started I would say, let's say on a gritty scale or dramatic scale, it started as a 6 or 5 out of 10. By the time it finished, it was like God tier. But it is not God tier. If you understand what I'm trying to say, it just we had a very nice, consistently gradual increase in quality all the way through.
Yeah. And this show, as much as it is, because I've seen that episode 1, is doing a lot of setup for the elements. Like episode 1 set up all the
Yeah,
characters and
so
all of that.
I've seen 2 and 3, and the story it hasn't got much further. So you see Iyanu, on her journey, she meets a kid called B in the forest on her journey, and she does a more explanation. There's a leopard, this big giant leopard that we said at the end of episode 1. She kind of uses her power to connect with it. At the beginning of episode 2, we see one thing we do see in episode 2 is that town called Ilu.
Yeah,
it's a portion of it where everybody is suffering. Like it's like so I think that's going to come into play later on. It's like they've been neglected.
Yeah,
but 2 and 3 basically it's still the hunt for Iyanu. Toye joins the dad on the military excursion and on the road. Iyanu's going around bonding with this B, and he does a lot. She does a lot of explaining of her powers to B, which is why I remember this whole natural. I think the natural plant life. If I get this right,
okay.
The unnatural was like she getting powers from objects. I think like stones, stuff like that, and then the supernatural, which is obviously
the divine.
It's funny. The whole, the one they call unnatural.
Yeah,
it's funny. In a coincidental manner, I spent last week reading about something called Ashe. Is it Ashe?
Yeah, Ashe, the authority. Yeah, the authority that has. Yeah, Ashe is the Yoruba word is a word for authority that every object has.
That's the one. So yeah, Ashe. So I was reading about how it's more about you take the properties of an object and try to endow that property on a person, through the use of Ashe. Like one of the examples I use is like in a naming ceremony, you bring honey, and the idea is that the essence of honey is sweetness, and you try to that this kid's life will be sweet and stuff like I'm doing a very poor job of explaining it, but that unnatural part reminded me of the whole Ashe bits. Not quite that, but when I saw that should be the Ashe now. You should be using Ashe to get the abilities of those inanimate objects to view everybody. But yeah, so it's okay. It's okay. It's not for me. I'll just be 100% say it's not for me.
Would you be watching it to the end?
Now here's the issue, and I need to double check this. I thought there were quite long episodes as well.
You thought what?
I thought they were long episodes. I'm trying to see what timing of each one of them was.
No, they are about 20 episodes, 23 minutes or so.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Why did I think it was longer than that? Okay. I'm not sure, if I'm being honest. Now that I've watched these 3, if they're even one a week, I will watch it.
Okay.
But I don't like, if I want to watch 3 of these, that's an hour.
Yeah.
I think this is something I can watch it in
chunks.
In parts. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. I would also be catching up on it because I really want to see how it ends and how the story goes from here. Yeah, but I would only give this season 1. And honestly, the reason I'm being this light-hearted of it is because I like the representation of the culture. They do a good work there. The culture is vibrant. Yeah, the culture is vibrant. The characters are vivid. I like the characters themselves. I like Iyanu. I like her struggles with disobeying her mom every time in episode 1. Yeah, where she's always going back to the city despite her mom telling her not to.
In Nigeria, we call them Omolaigboro.
Exactly. So I like those bits about it. And if the story gets better, it's something I would actually look forward to enjoying watching. So I'm hoping it gets better, that this episode is just set up. And honestly, I sat through my adventures with Superman. So,
oh mate, that got bad in some episodes. Like Jesus is Lord.
yeah,
And okay, so oh God, I was going to say something just now. I also think that okay, my rating for this, if I'm being honest, at the moment, I'm purely giving it right down the middle. I'm going to give it a 2.5 over
yeah,
5, and most of that is I actually do like. I always do this all the time. I like the design of the characters, just like you said. I like the design of Iyanu herself,
yeah,
and I enjoyed her for what she was.
yeah.
I wanted. I mean, obviously, being a Yoruba guy myself, I obviously wanted more Yoruba spoken, but obviously that makes no sense at all to speak too much Yoruba because obviously you that is half the people who understand what's being said, But I always like shows to intentionally. What's the word? What's the word? What's the word for when you try to make a certain phrase or certain word popular globally? There's a word that's had in my mind and it's gone. Basically, when you intentionally, the way in the world now, words like I don't know,
To
yash,
make a trend,
yeah, yeah. So you take words from your culture and
yeah,
put it out there in the cultural geist, so that everybody is now saying the same words. I love stuff people doing that, and I want this to happen also via this Iyanu
okay.
project.
You don't know if I'm looking for something in the future. It's not something you just do every time, but like, let's see how it goes. Well, yeah, that's Iyanu. And
Yes,
let's quickly move on to Daredevil. We are in the
yes,
penultimate episode of Daredevil,
yeah.
where it ends with a big ball that brings all the characters together. And honestly, while this episode is better than, for me, it's better than some of the other episodes, it also features some things I'm not sure of. Okay, so first off, we start off with Kingpin and his wife, where we see Vanessa confirming that, oh, she actually knew and she actually did first of all Luca to get killed
Yeah, yeah,
by what's his name? What's his name again? Kingpin.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Then we see Kingpin inviting, keep forgetting the girl's name. Heather.
Heather Glenn. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I made a point to remember her
To
name before.
remember the name. Yeah.
Yeah,
Invite. She made a point. He made a point of sending what's his name? The
Buck.
box. The actually, I found out the character is actually from the super. If it's a comic book character named Bullet from the comics, a minor
Right.
villain
Okay.
that
Okay.
works for Kingpin. Yeah.
I'm not.
So if
I'm not familiar with that character at all. But fine. Okay. I'll
yeah,
check that
yeah. So he sends Bullet to get the Matt's house to invite Glenn, just showing that I know we are staying here,
out. Right.
making it clear to us now.
Can I stop you on that point?
Yeah.
In a way, and even if you disagree, I'm accepting this canon that they went to that counselor because they knew that was Daredevil's.
Yeah, that's my canon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
Which works better for me than pure
that what we
coincidence.
done
Yeah.
done exactly. So now they're making it like they're making it clear that Kingpin picked this woman specifically because just to mess with
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're not thinking that before, accept it and that's what happened. So it makes a lot of big complaints we had last week,
Yep.
not and void going forward. And then this is where I don't get it. The arguments that Matt and the header are having about why not to go or not to go. I'm like,
What to the
you,
ball? You mean?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, okay. So this episode is one of my favorites.
yeah,
The part you're mentioning is the worst part for me. Well, it's one of the worst parts, but the parts I didn't like, or in a way, all linked to the same thing, the same debate that we're having, and
yeah,
it's like the, I wrote down here a sentence. I said, Dr. Glenn is still stressing about her shooting Muse,
yeah,
and she's making wild links between Daredevil and Muse and Violence. And I said, her take is very, very nonsensical Gen Z bullshit. You know, a bit harsh, but I found the argument all over the shop.
Argument is like, myself. Like, no, you were going to get killed if you didn't show up. True. You're like, oh no, he didn't come to save me. He came to satisfy his own pursuit of violence. Like,
yeah,
I don't get it. But yeah, in my mind, I go, okay, you had a very traumatic experience.
yeah.
You are asserting control anywhere, anyhow you want. That's very logic. That is, I guess it. I don't expect your arguments to be illogical. That is fine. You are being very illogical right now. Okay. But then the
Yeah,
argument
but
between, yeah,
okay, fine. I mean, you're excusing it. I couldn't.
you could, I'm like, okay,
It's
like
annoying me.
she dealt with a very traumatic incident. She needs a therapist to
Yeah,
work
but
through her feelings.
okay. So you know what I can't excuse it. It's
Why?
because this link is a link this show has been trying to establish
Yeah.
badly from the very beginning. So this is just another example of it. They've been trying to link this
Okay.
anti-vigilante task force. First of all, anti-vigilante, yes, that should be you're against Daredevil, you're against Swordsman. I get that, but you were formed to go after a serial killer.
So yeah,
So,
when you make it like that, it makes it worse for me now. Because right now, yes, it makes it because if I look at it from the point of view of this is what the show is trying to do, this is the worst person, this is the worst way to make that argument. Because right now, we can dismiss her entire argument as a result of stress, that she's saying nonsense because of the stress that she went through. He's not making the coherent arguments to buttress your case of how vigilantes or all of them are all mask hiding their distance that she's trying to say. Because it comes across as, yeah, you are being foolish because you had a very bad thing happen to you and you're trying to gain control. So, okay, that's mad. Then the second bit of the argument that annoys me is the fact that Matt is trying to say, don't go to the ball. She wants to go to the ball. And Matt is not, like, there are very good reasons why Matt don't want to go to that ball. They are very good. He can just say, tell it to her. This is the man that we tried to put in prison. This is the man that has tried to kill me and my friends for years.
Yeah,
he can touch a number of things that happen in his personal life without even touching the Daredevil personal at all.
It's not that hard. It's an easy response. This guy is the kingpin. He was a mafia guy. I've tried to bring him down. I believe he killed my friend. Why can't you say that to her?
I know for a fact he killed these people, even though we could not end up proving it because we saw the proof and we saw how he destroyed. I'm like, if you say this to her, the normal response by anybody,
it's your typical
manufactured drama.
Manufactured drama, not thought through TV debates. God forbid, if this was like a Aaron Sorkin episode, this would be the meat of an episode. You know, the arguments will be well thought through, well dramatized. You know, you know the writers will sat down. Okay, what's the arguments? What are the key arguments that they should go back and forth? This was just no, let's create drama. And, as much as I like this episode, I'm going to say something else that annoyed me, and it's the little things. We'll get back to the story, but one bit here, Kingpin celebrated. They all celebrated. 30% drop in vigilante crime. Sorry.
You know, many vigilante crimes are there in the first place.
Exactly. First of all, you see that, you think, okay, that makes sense. Then if you think about 2 seconds, hang on a minute.
How long has passed? How many times are you?
What are these crimes? So a vigilante crime. A vigilante stopped a crime in mass.
Is a crime?
So that's reduced by 30%. So that means crime itself. And which vigilante have you arrested? Which vigilante? None.
So if you want to use some dodgy match,
yes,
they can go, oh, the Muse killed 60 people. We caught the Muse. And so
But music is not vigilante. Again, this is
It's a mask. It's wearing a mask. Anybody that's wearing a mask is considered a vigilante in their books. So it's wearing a mask. They're all the same to them. So by the virtue of catching news, the amount of percent, it's stupid. Yeah, that number is stupid. It's like it's one of those things that they want to do to show that Kingpin is working and Kingpin is winning,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
actually thinking it through. Yeah.
Okay,
And
okay.
and that thing happened in this episode that shows us that so the whole thing by what's this guy's name? The punchable white boy to set up BB was actually sanctioned by Kingpin. And yeah, like we both last week we all complained about how stupid it was and why the only reason we felt it was we gave it a we didn't complain too much was that we felt it was acting on his own and being a stupid white boy by himself. But now apparently
Right. So
by Kingpin, yeah.
I've got a theory on that.
Yeah.
I think my theory is this. Kingpin is setting them up.
The boy?
Yeah, he's setting them up.
To take the fall.
Yeah. It's a pawn.
Oh, it's a pawn, right? All right, but let's.
No, I mean,
I will be happy.
I think Fisk got a specific plan that's going to end up that guy either getting killed or he'll use him and dispark him against BB and I think BB herself is also playing him. We'll come to.
BB's playing him.
Yeah,
basically saying is the Victor. Is Victor from Penguin? He left like a Victor from Penguin.
I think he's going to be. Well, I don't even think Victor. I think at least Penguin likes Victor.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that I don't think that Fist doesn't even care about this guy at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see how that plays out. Then that's one part of it going on. Then the second, I'm sorry guys, but I'm just going to touch on my annoyances a lot because a lot of them happened in this episode. Before we get to the good part, another annoying part is the police commissioner and the policeman. First of all, the policeman and the reporter. This is the reporter.
Yes.
GPs, like
explain what happens. Explain what happens.
So he sees them harassing the reporter, and he goes to them that, hey, stop harassing the reporter. And the guy goes, oh, I'm not even harassing the reporter, and he dips the reporter's hand in the hair fryer to burn his hand, and then he mouths back at the commissioner that there's nothing he can do to us. First of all, the writers, did they forget what reporters do? Or is this a show where Kingpin has all the newspaper outlets and by controlling BB, he controls every single newspaper outlet in the city that he can do and undo because BB has said, I'm like, what is going on here? Because even Nigerian policemen, the most corrupt of the most corrupt, when they do these things, they don't do it. Well, they do it blatantly like this, but that's because there's no system in place.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched that scene. I thought, hang on a minute. The moment that commissioner walked in there, even if you don't respect him anymore, and your power comes from the Kingpin, you wouldn't do something like that in front of him, would you? And then you wouldn't do it to somebody who's going to walk away.
Who can report her? Yeah.
So you got a reporter who can report you. You got the police commissioner who can corroborate
and fire you.
What happened. So yes, Kingpin created you. But Kingpin, people forget, he's an elected official.
That's to people.
That's going to end.
He's mayor, he's not king.
Yeah. I find that a bit over the top.
It was too much. Yeah, I get that these are the most dangerous, most annoying cops, like the worst of the worst cops.
Yeah.
That they got into this place by not having sense in the first place. But it's still like it boggles my mind that they feel they can get away with this kind of behavior. Like just the reporter reporting this alone, that can say, oh, this particular policeman, they did the presence of the
and there's physical evidence because obviously he didn't burn
my hand is burnt. Yeah, I didn't burn my hand. Like just that report alone is already damning by itself. That most other reporters have seen, no matter how corrupt the mayor is, down. Like, okay, these guys, I'm not sure they understand what's going on here, but even then, that's weird. Then we get but then the last thing that was really annoyed me about this show, about this particular episode, is Daredevil and Point Dexter.
Right. Before you talk about Point Dexter, let's get
Yeah.
Alan out of the way.
Who?
Alan, the
Oh yeah,
boyfriend.
the who?
Vanessa's boyfriend.
Okay, yeah. So that was what I told you guys I called.
That
I called it from the beginning of the season that Vanessa will kill Alan.
okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah, like from the moment we discovered that Kingpin has imprisoned
Yeah.
Alan, like I was like either they want to it's one of two things for me at that point at the beginning of the show. Either they're setting up Vanessa to be an antagonist to Kingpin, where they are enemies, and she's going to come for him with all she has once she finds out that he has her, or they are setting her up to be his perfect match. She's going
Okay.
to kill him.
The moment they walked into that place,
Yeah,
I just
it
knew
was clear.
that she would kill
He's,
him. Yeah.
yeah,
Especially when the guy kept on
yeah.
talking and I was like, oh yeah, you're dead.
I'm crying. You're like you're dead, looks
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it. I
I'm
just
like,
knew you're dead. Yeah.
yeah. And the thing about that thing, I don't know. It's and maybe because I was expecting it,
Okay.
but that scene did not hit as hard as it could have.
So you know what I said did for me? It sealed the lid on this conflict that they kind of put between Fisk and Vanessa. In my view, that was the end of it. And now, yeah, go on. You disagree?
No, I'm thinking. I'm thinking because
And I
they
thought
like
we're going to move on
yeah.
to a new form of drama, which did I realized what it's going to be.
But there was not like that's the thing.
Yeah.
The build up to the conflict, I don't think it was done well enough. It's like
What, the new one?
no, the one between both of them, they set
Oh,
up from the beginning to
yeah.
this one.
Well,
I'm like,
a lot has not been done. Okay, let me take another thing that's not been done well enough. So
yeah,
they off Luca. They've killed Luca.
yeah.
You do realize we've not even seen anything about the criminal evidence, what's going on anymore.
It's not a part of the show.
Yeah.
It's like this show is like is a discount penguin for me, where they don't care
I'll say it's an unfocused penguin.
on focus, yes,
Yeah.
where they don't care about the world that they are inhabiting. They
No,
don't care about the personal stories of what is happening to the characters. Like the character's world does not matter as much as
no,
what they are trying to say.
I feel there's too many moving parts.
Yes, that's another thing.
And I think so. There's no focus. They're losing focus on some parts because let's do this bit. I mean, what we have here is we have the crime story, which
Yeah,
I think is now the most underserved one of all the stories. You got the crime story, you got the Kingpin becoming mayor story, you got the
yeah,
Daredevil and Muse. Well, you got the Muse story, you got the Daredevil Kingpin conflict. You got this,
yeah.
there's so many, and then you
You
got the
have the
lawyer.
vigilante. You have the lawyer bit with the case with Hector
Yeah,
Ayala.
you got the lawyer firm. You got these lawyer cases that. And
There's
it's just
Point Dexter that killed somebody in the
yeah,
beginning. Yeah,
yeah,
there's way too much moving
there's
parts.
a lot
Yeah,
going on for a night, and this is 9 episodes, and the
yeah.
focus is kind of. I mean, we know we talked about his projects that he's trying to he's now strong arming all these billionaires into supporting. There's a lot going on. You got BB, you got
Yeah. Like honestly, you can cut Bibi from this story and save yourself a lot. Like cut Bibi completely. She serves no purpose in this story at all. Yeah, I guess that she's part of a underground thing, blah blah blah. She's trying to bring down Kingpin, blah blah blah. But I guess if you're going to do something like this, it's there are shows that have a lot of moving parts to them. And
okay.
the last one that comes to mind is like something like Succession,
Yep.
where there's a family drama, but there are a lot of moving plot points are being served and a lot of characters having their own different stories as well at the same time. But if they are doing that, they're doing that well. Here, it's not being done well because
No.
up till we don't still know like up till now, we don't still know what the character wants. Like up to now, I still don't know what Kingpin, like what is Kingpin's.
So here's where one issue is. So these real rights.
Yeah.
A lot of the legal stuff I can now see is part of the Last Focus because I think they're trying to keep some of it in, and they're now trying to tie it in tenuously to the main story.
To the main story.
Like this guy's talking about, this guy stole 2 conflict packets. He went to jail. You just put that into that whole story about this guy, comes to play. So I think there's a lot of that going on. Like this guy who the client who was lying.
Yeah.
Like, it all seems extraneous.
Yeah.
To the whole plot.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're in the middle of the air that it has too many moving parts, and that's what is
it's way too many moving parts.
This showdown. So yeah, so that's Vanessa and Alan. Then Point Dexter and Daredevil.
Right. So Point Dexter is moved to Gen Pop.
Yeah.
Now my first question is, how on earth is that guy in Gen Pop? And he's not killing people. Has he got that thing on while he's in Gen Pop? I mean, Gen Pop is the general population of the prison. Before he was in his own cell, locked away from people.
Yeah.
And his arms was always tied in that bandage or whatever it is. But when you put him in Gen Pop, surely he's not walking around with that, just like that. And the idea was he gets killed in there, right? That was the idea.
Yeah.
But did you get the feeling that was going to happen?
I mean, eventually. No, let me put this way. Eventually. Yeah. Because nobody will probably try him directly to his face.
Mm-hmm. Right, okay.
But this guy is an FBI agent.
Right.
There's a criminal and he snitched. So eventually someone is going to shoot him in his bed. He cannot stay alive. I don't see him, like realistically, I don't see him living in Gen Pop. Someone is going to kill him. Either by sneaking in his food or something in the shower. Someone is like they're going to gang up on him and kill him, even though some of them will end up dead, but he's going to die.
Yeah, so that's my point. He will kill like multiple
before he dies. Yeah.
Okay.
So I could get his own reaction that, hey, these people are going to kill me here. Let me call Matt.
Okay. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So he wants to see Matt because obviously he thinks he's been set up to die in Gen Pop.
Yeah.
Matt then comes, after the argument with his missus, he decides to go there.
Yeah.
The interview goes almost as you expect in terms of like, why should I, blah, blah, blah. Who sent you? I want you to confess that Fist sent you, that you were there to... Oh, sorry, I've skipped the part about Foggy. But I'll come at me. I want to ask a question. That smash of his head on the table.
Yeah.
What was that, in your view?
Honestly, I thought it was setting him up to get out of prison.
Thank you.
But it felt like that.
That's what it felt like.
Why would he do it?
Exactly. But then, if that's the case, you're responsible for 2 deaths.
Yeah, more than 2 deaths. Because, see, at first I was thinking, oh, am I misreading this particular thing? But then he goes to the party and is very, very concerned about getting Edgar out of there.
Yeah, but
and
by that time, has he not heard?
Okay, he has heard. Yeah,
I think he's heard that. Yeah. I think he heard in the party
that. Okay.
Had escaped.
Okay, because I was like, did this guy just slam this guy's here out of anger and walk away? Or because that's very foolish? Or did he slam him knowing he's going to escape by virtue of slamming his head, which is very unrealistic? Like, how do you expect him to escape? But it felt intentional.
Yeah,
I think Dexter even told him, thank you.
You know his abilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was confused. Honestly, I did not know what that. I did not know that. Was that anger or was that intentional to get his 2
on both?
So, it confused me, and even to now,
yes. I still don't know.
I want to believe it was anger because the other version would be very, very bad in terms of you let this killer escape, and he's killed like all these people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. The first version is already bad enough that you accidentally let him escape because of your anger, that you could not control your anger. That means this entire plot would not happen if you didn't go to speak with him. Either way, it's bad. But then if it's not intentional to let him escape, it's like, yeah, it magnifies it even worse. And then the question is, why does Dexter want to kill Kingpin?
Right. So okay. So they're having this big party, this ball, fundraising kind of ball, black and white. You know, everybody's there. All the billionaires we saw in the previous episode. We learned that Bullseye Kingpin is, I think he's kidnapped one of those people's husbands.
It's kidnapping all their, not just one.
Loved ones.
Loved ones, yeah.
I'm asking them to donate. Okay, fine.
That's stupid, but yeah, go on.
He threatens Swordsman with exposure. So he tells us, well, I know you're the Swordsman. I'm going to expose you. Okay, fine. Now, we get the news that Poindexter has escaped. Now, Matt Murdock turns up at this party with a hard on for Fisk. He's coming, he wants to confront Fisk in this party. And throughout this episode, there was a lot of cutting between the couples, i.e. Matt and Heather and Fisk and Vanessa. I kind of like that. Like, it was a theme throughout. And then the end dancing as well was kind of like built onto that theme. So while Matt was dancing with his girlfriend, he was obviously listening. It was more eavesdropping on all the conversations that was going on around him using his powers, and that's why he discovered what Fisk was doing with some of these people. Now, I like the fact that Kingpin started speaking to Matt just by whispering, because he knew Matt could pick up what he was saying. When the news came through that Poindexter had escaped, and they informed Kingpin, Kingpin kind of told Vanessa the news, and then Vanessa went, "Oh, I've got to tell you something," and then they could hear her heartbeat going fast.
And then she realized that.
So he realized that it was her who hired Bullseye to kill Foggy.
Yeah.
And also, sorry, he realized why Foggy was killed. That early on when he went to the bar, he realized that Foggy's case, he'd won it. And he was celebrating, and that why he was killed.
Yeah.
And then obviously he made the conclusion that it must have been Fisk.
Yeah. And then now realized that it was Vanessa, not Fisk.
Now, my point here is, or my question is, does Poindexter know who hired him?
So I don't know. Like, my initial thoughts was that Vanessa wants to kill Fisk and take over everything for herself.
I never thought, you know what, that never occurred to me. But I don't, even though
I don't think that's what is going.
Okay,
I don't think that was going on. But that is what I would, at this point of the story, that is what I would have gone for. Vanessa wants to kill Fisk and take over.
Because so let me ask a question. Poindexter was aiming at Kingpin, right? Not Vanessa.
Yes.
Okay.
Because what's his name? Matt was dancing with Vanessa to the side. Kingpin was dancing with Heather. So there's no way. And Matt left Vanessa to run to shield.
Okay.
Kingpin.
So. Okay.
Because otherwise.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Otherwise, why try to kill Kingpin?
Because maybe for Kingpin hired him. So my at the moment, what I'm thinking is he does not know. He just assumed that it was a Fisk who hired him and not Vanessa.
But even then, why kill the person that hired you?
Because the person who hired you is trying to off you by putting you in Gen Pop.
Oh, Kingpin is trying to put him in Gen Pop.
And when they asked who put the order to put him in Gen Pop, they said it was Fisk.
I we don't think Fitz did that because Fitz has nothing to do with him.
Okay, so here's the thing. That order to put him in Gen Pop would have come from the office of the mayor.
It would have come from Buck, who Valencia also commands.
Yes.
Okay. So let's see how we. I think that makes more sense than Vanessa trying to kill him. I would have loved if Vanessa was trying to kill him and make her the villain, but yeah, it doesn't fit with the show. But yeah, this is, despite all the flaws I've listed, my favorite episode in a while.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the whole episode. And you're right. This is despite our let me call them nitpicks now. They're not nitpicks.
These are more than nitpicks. They are more than nitpicks. Yeah.
For listeners, it was overall. I almost want to say my favorite episode, even though there was not a lot of well, there's some action. Obviously, not that much. But it was the most. I want to use the phrase organic flowing one from the beginning to end. I kind of, and I like the small tension at the end as well.
The best spaced ones, the best spaced episode.
Okay, maybe that's what, the pacing of it.
Yeah.
But now I have an issue. I don't get what's going to happen in one episode left.
That's season 2.
But that's season 2. Was it pre-planned?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So next episode, I really don't know what's going to happen next episode.
Because where do we go? So Matt is shot.
So he's going to be fine.
Well, or else the show ends.
No, I mean that he's going to be fine almost immediately, or is he going to take it? Because we need to have some Daredevil action in the final episode, except they're doing a very quiet final episode.
We talk about so many moving parts. We didn't even see the White Tiger anymore. That girl.
She's set up for something. I think she's set up for what's it called? Champions. She'll probably shop in Champions.
Swordsman. Are we see? So what's gonna happen on Swordsman? The threat, the billionaires, the cases. Is the last episode? Is it 3 hours long?
It's not going to tie in. Like, I've accepted that this show is not going to do anything well.
Okay.
It's just going to be surface level. This thing ending. It can even end with them arresting Kingpin and training him in jail and saying that's the end, or something similarly surface level to round it up. But yeah. Anyway, it's why I think this is my favorite episode is that at this point, it's not trying to be. I mean, it's still trying to, but it's not it's like family upper tier CW show where logic is not making, where you don't think more than what they're showing you again. There's no point thinking deeper to what is happening.
It does not do well under scrutiny.
Exactly. That's the word. Yes. It doesn't do well under scrutiny. You watch it and that's it. Don't think too deeply about what is going on behind the scene. So that's why the person can work for it. But overall, So, rating?
See, this is weird. I enjoyed this episode, but I can't give it a 4.
4?
I cannot give it a 4.
Okay.
I enjoyed it a lot. I would give this. You know what? I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5.
I'll come up back for my 2s and I'll give it a 3 out of 5.
A 3 out of 5. Okay.
Yeah, a 3 out of 5. Yeah.
What were you going to give it before? 2.8.
I was giving the previous episodes 2s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like even before that, the last one I gave a high score was 2.5. So I've been down on this show a lot. So this is a 3 for me.
So I mean, we've got one episode left. So maybe I should reserve this because I wanted to ask you to compare this to Netflix.
Of course not. This is more like Iron Fist than Daredevil.
No. It's not like,
it's better. No, it's better than Iron Fist, but that's the Netflix show I would compare it to.
I'm gonna say Iron Fist was. To be honest, I think it's better than Iron Fist. I think it's even better than the Defenders.
I'll put on the same level as the Defenders.
You think so? Yeah. Same
I
level
put on the
as
same level as Defenders,
Well,
where the logic does not make sense, but the characters are just there.
Here's the thing about the Netflix shows. I love Daredevil. I love Jessica Jones.
Yeah,
I enjoyed Cage.
yeah.
I think Defenders was okay. I think
I like Defenders actually.
it was okay, but it wasn't as good as I thought I wanted it to be. If I'm being
You want it to
honest,
be,
yeah.
yeah,
I wanted to be Daredevil,
level storytelling.
or Jessica Jones level. To me, they were the standard bearers for the Netflix shows.
Yeah,
Those two. Cage had his own vibe. I like Cage for his own vibe, but I don't think it was as good as those two.
those two.
Bro,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that was
But
Daredevil.
now we've established that Netflix doesn't know how to do. I mean, Disney doesn't know how to do gritty. They should stop. They should give it up. Abandon that and go back to their proper superhero story.
You see, this is where you start to annoy me now, and I'm more annoyed because I can't think of a quick response to that. They are making Disney are almost like making you right by. It's not that they can't do gritty. They just can't do good stories almost. And
That's a good point here.
when you go back to, and this is not, it's not just Daredevil with his grittiness. This is all the way back to Wonder. Every one of those series, even the good ones, and I say good ones, as in some of those good ones could have been great.
Yeah,
Easily been great with little tweaks here and there. Certain things that especially one division and Falcon. The first two, I think, could have been great. And
no, but those two, they were going to be great if not for, like, we could obviously see where the problems were coming from those two.
yeah, so those two great. Then you get the ones that are absolutely toilet tier, i.e., Secret Invasion. To me, Secret Invasion, there's no excuse. But it's a concept that could have been great. But
Yeah.
I don't think they didn't even come close to being good on executing that. Then you have the ones that were never going to be serious. You had the Hawkeye. I don't know what that was playing at. It was something serious, not serious.
No, Hawkeye was we're making, what's it called? Die Hard. Die Hard comics,
Okay,
like,
yeah. No, that's
they were not serious.
Yeah.
But like, I'm looking at all I call it now, they are serious shows.
Yes.
They are so-called serious shows. They are Secret Invasion, they are Echo, and now this one. The only one that was okay-ish was maybe Moon Knight, and even that self.
No, Moon Knight was good, but Moon Knight was good, but the grittiness of Moon Knight was not actually the point of Moon Knight. I think it's more of the mental.
Yeah.
What was it? Mental health.
So let's leave that out. Let's say the grittiness of shows that focus on realism, like being realistic and grounded.
They were bad. They've been bad.
Yeah. If it's Hawkeye, what excuses Hawkeye is that it was intentionally very silly from the get-go. It had a lot of silliness going for it. It was a comedy. Yeah. But the Secret Invasion,
and let's quickly go back to Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But here's the thing that annoys me now when I think about it compared to this. When I compare to this, it still had a coherent storyline.
It's that this doesn't have.
Yeah. Like if you scrutinize it, it wasn't flaking
on the story.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, exactly.
No, the rewrites have fault a lot of things, and I don't even think the rewrites were bad. I don't think the original story was okay. No, let me not complain because the Ayala case, that was the entire season focus.
Yeah.
Remember how excited we were about that being the main storyline of the show? That was good. But like everything after it, it's like they kept trying to do so many different things without being sure of how to establish it. But we'll see how it ends. But yeah, this show is for me, right as of now, it's a disappointment.
You know what? I can't argue with you. As much as I try to be on the positive side of things and say it's good, I can't compared to everything that's come before. It's nowhere near those heights. And I've kept on hoping. I know it's good enough. It's good enough. But we've got one episode left. What are you gonna do on episodes? And if I even go by your track record of your last episodes, generally they tend to more drop the average than improve the average. So if this one becomes the best episode of the whole season, it will be a departure from your normal.
I think 1 and 2 might be better than this one.
Is that more because we were in the
welcome back, expecting.
And
it felt like you had to yeah.
I think this one, the Muse one, I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is. I do think the whole, and this includes the movies, the TV shows, they need a hard reset, but I don't think they can. I don't think they can stop the train. I think it's just a train that keeps on going on, and they can't put the brakes on it. I said, let's stop and have a rethink. Let's. I don't think this will even allow it, and it's a shame. It's really a shame. I mean, I do a lot of rewatching of MC content, not generally directly by rewatching them, but by watching other people watch them. So I watch a lot of reaction channels. So that way I get to And I've done it. I've done it with multiple reactors. The journey through the MCU, and even as I'm watching it, you can see the heights it's reaching onto Endgame, and even including No Way Home? No Way Home. And even when you then chuck in the Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man one.
That's No Way Home.
Yeah, No Way Home. Yeah. So, but the cracks, you can start seeing it when it comes into the other movie. And I started realizing one thing is the bond they built in phase 1 with the characters themselves and Adam 2. That's not what they do with the post 1. It's almost like they're doing a shortcut version of that. And it's not working.
I think I used to, in the past, I used to be like one of the biggest Marvel critics. Yeah. Like, hey, you are too lightheaded. Hey, your story is not deep enough. You are too unserious. And this is making me appreciate that even those ones had good storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, we took for granted good storytelling in terms of pacing. Even though we didn't like it, even though we complained about the laughters, we complained about, oh, you guys laugh too much, you joke too much, you joke unnecessarily. But at least the stories were coherent. Now that is missing, and we're like, wow, this is how bad comic book movies can actually get. Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the Marvels, Love and Thunder,
and you compare them to what's it called, James Gunn, the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. I mean, even take the last one. What's the last one called? Brave New World.
Yeah.
And compared to what is almost like
the closest Winter Soldier,
it's just they're not even the same class. Miles apart. Oh well.
Let's end it here before we continue ranting about how bad Marvel.
Before we start crying tears on the podcast.
Okay. Goodbye, guys. Next week we'll be coming back with the finale of Daredevil.
Yes.
Iyanu, and we'll finally get to some comics. We need to go back to comics.
Let's go back to the source. Let's go back to our good old source.
Exactly.
Guys out there, thanks for listening once again. Guys, can you please follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, on Twitter. Please engage, comments, and we will get back to you guys. We are gradually growing, thanks to you, and we want to continue growing. With that, see you later.